Also tonight, a convicted rapist who held a woman captive for days could face decades in prison. And tonight, shocking details are emerging in the case of Alexander Kais, whom authorities say met his victim online. 13 WHAM's Jackie Napier is back from the Ontario County District Attorney's Office with the very latest. Jackie.
Good evening, Karen. Assistant District Attorney Victoria Porter says the entire community is safer now that 21-year-old Alexander Kais is behind bars. Porter tells me that Kais not only held a high school student captive, but he also threatened the Ontario County District Attorney's Office and attempted to flee the area. A warrant had to be issued for his arrest when he did not show up for the verdict announcement. An 18-year-old was left fearing for her life after a man she met on social media threatened to kill her and hurt her family.
She goes over there initially to spend the weekend with him. And the first nights that she's there, there's no harm to her. And then he wakes up in the morning on June 5th and essentially goes into a rage.
The prosecutor says Kais raped, strangled, and beat the young woman over 2 days while holding her captive inside his Canandaigua apartment. The injuries Kais inflicted were so bad, the victim begged to be brought to the hospital. Kais eventually agreed under the condition that she be accompanied by his grandmother.
Grandma comes over and they concoct this story as a family that they're going to go to the hospital and our victim is going to have to pretend that she was mugged in Greece and that Grandma was a good Samaritan that came and picked her up and brought her to Thompson Hospital to help her.
The prosecutor says Kais, who was waiting in the parking lot, brandished a knife before the victim went inside the hospital with his grandmother.
If she said anything to the hospital staff, that he would take that knife, drive to her house, and hurt her family. They go back into the car with the defendant, at which time he pulls the knife on her, holds it about a foot from her face, says, the phrase was, "If you think I won't gut you, right here."
The teen managed to leave Kais's apartment via an Uber the next day.
Our victim is incredibly strong. She was very young when this happened to her. She was just a senior in high school. She hadn't even graduated. Actually, one of the parts of her testimony was that she was afraid she wouldn't be able to walk the stage because the bruise to her face hadn't healed. I think now, having gone through it, she's stronger and smarter than ever.
I reached out to Kais's defense attorney and have not yet heard back. Porter says she believes Kais's grandmother could face charges in the future. Alexander Kais faces up to 57 years in prison at sentencing, which is not yet scheduled. Karen.
Now to new information in a suspected murder-for-hire plot targeting a judge and an assistant DA. Convicted rapist Alexander Kais is accused of plotting to have multiple people who were involved in his rape trial murdered. 13 WHAM's Jackie Napier was the first to break this story last night. Today, she spoke with state police who revealed more details about the investigation. Jackie?
Good evening, Stephanie. Ontario County District Attorney James Ritt says Kais and his girlfriend attempted to put a hit on an assistant district attorney, Victoria Porter, and the Honorable Brian Dennis, an Ontario County court judge. A jury convicted Alexander Kais of rape and other charges on March 15th after prosecutors say he held a woman captive for 2 days back in 2022, where he sexually assaulted, injured, and threatened her. Now, the 21-year-old and his girlfriend, 22-year-old Lydia Gator, are accused of trying to have 3 people involved in that rape trial murdered.
Kais and Gator conspired to hire a third party to murder the Ontario County Court Judge and Ontario County Assistant District Attorney, who was presiding over Kais's criminal case for which he was being held on.
The witness was redacted. She was a witness, obviously, in the trial as it related to Mr. Kais and led to his conviction.
Prosecutors say on April 21st, Gator agreed to meet an individual in a Victor parking lot to plan a hit on Judge Dennis with the alleged intention of shooting and killing him.
Unbeknownst to her, the person she was meeting was an undercover officer and not a person hired somebody else to kill him. Gator conducted a narcotics transaction with the undercover officer in lieu of money to murder the judge. Gator used approximately $1,750 worth of Xanax as payment for the killing.
District Attorney James Ritz says a 16-year-old was also charged with attempted murder and conspiracy. Prosecutor Kelly Wolford says there's some uncharged individuals in the community, and this continues to be an ongoing investigation. Kais Gator and the unnamed 16-year-old are all in custody. Kais and Gator will be in court next week, after which the district attorney's office anticipates presenting those charges to a grand jury. Steph?
We're still digging into the story of a murder-for-hire case connected to a convicted rapist. New York State Police say Alexander Kais pleaded to kill several people, including a witness from his rape case. News 10 NBC's Eriquetta Koss is live at the jail. Eriquetta, we're hearing he wasn't acting alone, right?
That's right. His girlfriend and a 16-year-old girl are also charged with attempted murder and conspiracy. This jail is where Kais is accused of co-conspiring and plotting murders with his girlfriend, Lydia Gator. The hired hitman, an undercover trooper. The intended targets were an Ontario County judge, prosecutor, and even a witness on his rape trial. He was already in jail awaiting sentencing for raping, injuring, and holding captive a girl he met online. In March, troopers say they learned of the alleged conspiracy. Last Sunday, Kais's girlfriend met the undercover trooper in a Victor parking lot, paying him more than $1,500 worth of Xanax. Troopers wouldn't get into details about how they did it. But with recent officer shootings in the community, troopers and prosecutors say this certainly hits right in the heart.
We've got people who are doing their jobs, doing it fairly, attempting in every respect to ensure, and I will tell you, Judge Dennis worked very hard to ensure that this was a fair trial. Our job is to make sure that we're doing things ethically, and that was accomplished by our team, our prosecution team. And so this strikes at the heart and is terrifying.
A search warrant was executed at Lydia Gator's home yesterday, and both her and Alexander Kais and that 16-year-old I mentioned are all behind bars. The details on how the 16-year-old is involved are very limited due to raise the age law. And as far as what's next, there will be preliminary hearings in court next week. Reporting in Canandaigua, Eriquetta Koss, News 10 NBC.
A 21-year-old convicted rapist is expected to spend the next 35 years in prison.
Prosecutors say Alexander Kais held a woman he met online against her will and sexually assaulted her over the course of 2 days. This happened 2 years ago in June, according to law enforcement. As part of his sentencing, he's expected to undergo 20 years of post-release supervision and register as a sex offender. Kais also faces murder, conspiracy, and drug charges for allegedly plotting to kill the lead prosecutor and the judge presiding over his rape conviction.